Welcome, 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 my lovelies. Welcome back. Cheers. Ah, lovely. Start the day with a fresh cup of tea. So, yes, I hope you're all well. I must at some point sort out lighting. I don't know what to do about the lighting in this workshop. In real life, not on video, talking to everybody. Everything is bright and clear and everything, but on the screen it always, lots of times it looks a bit sort of misty, and I think it's because the daylight strip lights that we have above to give us a daylight look, it comes down so it puts everything in shadow from the top. Anyway, I do apologise. At some point I'll sort something out. So this video is going to be another build, another make. But what I'm going to do, the thing I'm going to build, I just want to show you the process of how I get there. So when you're designing things, building things, you can make things up in your mind, draw down ideas. You can look on the internet, on images, and then get ideas from different things to put together. Or you can take them from real life. So this is just a little exercise on things that you see in real life and how I go about making them in miniature. So what I'm going to do is take you up to the house, and I'll show you, I'll do a little video and show you an item of furniture, wall furniture, that we have, and I'm going to use it as inspiration. So I'm not going to copy it exactly, but I am going to use it as an inspiration to build something else, which I can't wait to start. I'm so excited. So because of that, let's get up to the house right away. I don't know, our house isn't that way. Our house is actually that way. But anyway, who knew? Let's go. Okay, so here we are in a corner of the lounge, and this is my inspiration, a wall-mounted bookcase. So it's one that fixes to the wall rather than standing up on the floor. It's got working drawers, the real one. They do work. I will actually, although they're going to be tiny to scale, I will put drawers that actually work in the bookcase. As you can see, it's got very fancy scroll-like decoration that's been cut out down the sides. I'm not going to attempt that, not as such anyway. It would be far too much work. I think you'd have to be quite a craftsman to be able to do that, and it would take quite a few years of practice. But I will do something anyway. But the depth of the bookcase, this is the deepest it is, where the drawers are, back to the wall, and then it goes in and straight up. So that shelf is narrower, it's less deep, and then it goes in again and up. So that shelf at the top is even narrower again. So it goes up in stages, which looks quite nice. Instead of it being the same depth all the way up, it just gives it a more elegant shape. And then it's carved at the top there, and it's got some shape underneath as well, sort of carved underneath. So I'm going to do a version of that, but it won't be exact, but the measurements I will take will be exact. Okay, back in the workshop. So you get an idea of the sort of thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to do it in a different colour wood, and I'm going to do slightly different shaping, but that's where the inspiration comes from. So it's just to show you that you don't, if you look like a piece of furniture that you want to create, you don't have to make it exactly like that. You can use that as an idea, and take things from there, and then put your own artistic merriment into it. Is it merriment? I don't know. Or is that just being merry? Who knows? Anyway, as you know, I never plan anything. So what I've done, I've just taken some notes, and mostly it's sort of measurements. So I've done some exact measurements here that I want the side pieces and the shelves, how wide I want the shelves. and I've done just a scale drawing. I've just done a little drawing here to give me an idea of what the shelves look like and the sides, and then I've measured all the distance between every shelf and how thick the shelf is, how wide it is, how wide the supports are down the sides, what size the drawers are, and what depth they come out from the wall, and the gaps between the shelving. So I've just wrote down lots of measurements basically. So I've done that in centimetres. I know here in the UK, I know we use mainly the old measurements are feet and inches, but the inches, they don't divide up finely enough for me to get exact measurements. So it's very easy if you've got a centimetre ruler or centimetre tape measure, well, one that does inches or centimetres, and then I just measured it in centimetres first of all, and if I, for instance, if I take the full height of the bookshelves from top to bottom, the side panels from the very top to the very bottom, they came to 71 centimetres. So to make that even more precise, if you change that into millimetres, so you just, instead of 71 centimetres, it's 710 millimetres. You just add the naught on the end, and you divide 710 by 12, because it's 12, scale is 12 inches to 1 inch. So it's 12 anything to 1 anything. So whatever the measurement is, let me see, the depth of the shelving here is 24 centimetres deep. That's 240 millimetres. Divide it by 12 and it gives you 20 millimetres, which is 2 centimetres. So it's quite easy, just dividing whatever you're measuring into the 12. And that just gives you a precise measurement basically. So I've cut out the two side shelves. That's the wall on each side, and with all my measurements here, I've just gradually, I don't know if you can see it properly, there you can see it a bit there, I've drawn lines where shelves are starting, stopping, how deep they are, where they're going to go, where the top piece is. First of all, got that measurement, and then I've also done that on here as well, but on this one I've also cut a shape into the sides there, and going in and up and in and up, where the shelves get narrower at the top, and then a shape at the top there. So I've drawn that. I did that on a piece of paper and drew a template, and then cut it out, and then traced around the line of it to get the shaping that I want, and just do it so it's aesthetically pleasing to you. You could do anything you wanted. You could keep them all the same depth, or you can make them narrower. You can make the whole thing longer and add another shelf. Once you've got your idea, you've got the piece of furniture there, you can then adapt and do what you will with it. So the shelves going up, as I said, the full shelf of the shelf's depth is 2 centimetres, so that's the depth, so that's the shelving. So that will be the base of the underneath the drawer, that will come higher up, and then in between there will be 2 drawers, and then I've got 2 shelves above that. But those shelves, one of them is slightly narrower, and one of them at the top is narrower again, so they will all go up in stages. So I'll put those aside at the moment. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to put, or it's on the other side of the workshop, I'm going to put a linseed oil on that I'm using lately. It just makes the wood really nice. I tried a bit, that's the natural colour of the wood, and then I tried a bit on that side, and it makes it a nice dark colour. The same colour that I used for or the same linseed oil I used for the fireplace that I made for Jersey Girl. Hi there, Jersey Girl. I know you'll be watching. I hope you're well. So anyway, yes, I'm going to cover the pieces in that. But to cut this outline of the shelving out, first of all, the actual sides of the bookcase, what I am going to do to make it as precise as possible. Instead of cutting one and then drawing it again and cutting the other, I'm going to, I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to attempt to put these two sides together and maybe put a small clamp in at one end just to hold it, and then I'm going to put that outside, take it outside onto the workbench, just hanging over the edge of the bench. And to cut these lines out, I'm going to go through the 2 layers of wood, and I'm going to use a mini jigsaw for it. I'll just get that to show you it. There we are. So it's just a handheld tool, and it's got the very, very small blade there, very small and fine. So as long as I've got these 2 bits of wood together securely, I should be able to just cut the shape out with that. We'll see. It's going to be noisy, so I won't record it, and also I can't get the cameras all set out on the little workbench that I've got there. So I'll cut it out, and then we'll come back here and I'll show you where we are so far. It will need sanding and everything, but that's all part of the process. Looking forward to seeing what happens. Okay, so that little mini jigsaw thing, that did the trick really well. If I put the pieces, all the pieces as even as possible for you, and you can see that it's cut them both in the shape that I wanted. I just went over the pencil lines that I'd made freehand to get the curves. After I did that, it didn't need much sanding, but just to sand it, it's not a soft basswood or a soft obeche wood I'm using. I wanted it a bit more solid, so it will last, last longer. So it's a mahogany, a light wood mahogany. So it's much denser and thicker. The grain is fine, but it's more solid, the wood. Actually, if I can move the camera down a bit, this should be a bit, so you can see it a bit easier. So as I say, all I did then was to use these little miniature files for sanding, and I used, there's all different, I've got about a dozen different shapes. So I just picked the curve shapes where I want to go into the curves and just sanded it like so, sanded blah blah blah. And then to make it much smoother and even finer, I just used a medium grit sandpaper, well reasonably fine sandpaper, and then just went over like so. I won't do it anymore because I've done it enough, but it's nice and smooth. The curves feel nice and smooth now. So, and it's given it a nice shape. I like just the extra, a tiny little bit there that I did instead of just one curve. That worked out. It is on the main bookshelf like that. It just goes in and then it curves like that. And I didn't know on this scale if it would show, but it does. Once it's all together, you'll see the little detail there. So the next thing I want to do, I will rub out the pencil lines because I don't know if they stay through the linseed oil or not. I don't want to find out because once I've put it on, it will be probably hard to get the pencil marks off if they still show. So, and I know where the shelving, now I've cut the fronts, I know where the shelving is going to go. So that's that one, and that's that one. And I'm going to leave them solid at the sides. I just think that once the whole thing's together and it's got little drawers in it, I think it'll be a really nice little unit. There we are. And I don't think I marked the shelves, no, that's fine. So we've got the boiled linseed oil, as I've said in a previous video. It's heat treated, boiled basically, and because it's heat treated, it makes the linseed oil react and dry faster. If you don't use boiled linseed oil and just natural linseed oil, then it will take many hours to dry. But this you can put on, give it half an hour, and it's dry, and then you can just buff it up. I might do a couple of coats just to make sure it's really in there, and also it preserves the wood. Now I'll go around the edges. I want to lay it down to dry, so I'll just do one side and lay it down. Actually, let me move the metal jig that I use. This linseed oil, it's a lovely smell. Well, the boiled linseed oil is. I've no idea what the one that's not boiled smells like, but I'm guessing it's just the same. But this one is lovely. It does make your fingers oily, and you have to wash your hands afterwards. And you could wear gloves, but it's not. It's, you know, it doesn't affect my hands. It's a natural oil. Natural oils are good for you. Now you can see, I'll just show you quickly, you can see the difference in the wood when you put this on. Just makes it lovely and rich looking. And I'll leave that half an hour, and then I'll put a second coat on as well. It's just one of the things that takes so much time when you're making items. You all know, if you've making pieces of furniture or anything yourself, you know it is all time. Time to stain, time to oil, time to glue, time for paint to dry. Right. Okay, fine, absolutely great. So, as I say, I'll give that half an hour. I shall go and wash my hands, make another drink, and then come back and carry on. Yay! Now, these bits have dried. I've given them another coat, and I've let that dry, and then I've polished them as well. So I've got a really nice, really lovely finish to them. Really, really nice. So now I'm going to attach the shelving to the unit before I make the drawers. I'll make the drawers last, because they'll be measured, the exact gaps that are there. They'll measure the drawers to fit in those gaps. So I want one of the wide, the deepest shelves, which is one of these, and I'm going to place it about there. Like so. Actually, I'll do the bottom one first. So I'm just going to attach a little bit of Gorilla Glue, like so, and what I will do is use these set squares to keep the shelf square onto the side of the unit here. So let's push that up a bit. And then I can, sorry my hand is in the way again. It's not ideal, but you get the idea of what I'm doing. Let's just use the other cocktail stick to scrape that glue. And I'll put this one in this side as well. So square the whole thing up, that's level with that front part of the unit. So I now know that that's exactly level at right angles to the side of the unit there. I am going to, it take a while, but I'm going to let that dry first. I'm going to give it half an hour. I'm not going to wait till it's just tacky. I'll let it dry quite well, and then I'll put the other shelving on, and then I'll put the other side onto that, and then we can build the drawers. But it's, yeah, it takes a while to build it up, but we will get there. I'm looking forward to seeing what this looks like finished. Yay! It's only afternoon here, but it's getting really dark really quickly, as you can see out the door there. It's not very bright, so you can see my reflection in the window, and it's distracting watching the reflection. Anyway, so I shall show you the piece so far, and as you can see, I've put some back panels in there where the drawers go. One reason is when you put them in, when it's in transit and you pick it up, I don't want the drawers falling straight through and falling out. Not that that really matters, but once it's fixed to the wall, it's just nice to have a back, so if you do take the drawer out, it doesn't show the wall through there, because that normally it wouldn't be see-through anyway. And I looked in the one we have in the house, and that is indeed filled in the back. I'm using a I suppose it is actually a cheaper wood to buy, but in real life, when you look at bits of furniture like that, very often the insides and the drawers that the wood is made from is a lot cheaper than the actual wood on the outside, the bits that show. So the fronts of the drawers are the good wood, as we'll call it, and then the rest of the drawer is made up of a cheaper wood. So I'm doing that. I could have made it out of the same wood, but it just looks a little bit more authentic if it's made from a different wood. So I've used a very, very light coloured wood, and then I'm using a furniture marker to colour the wood and just stain it a darker brown than the white, lighter colour than it is, but it does just look like a cheaper wood when you see them together. But as I say, it will be inside the drawers, which is what I want it to show. So once you've made up I've got the division there. Once you've made that, you know the exact hole you've got there to make the drawers. So what I do first of all is measure the depth and the width of the gap for each one, so I know the exact measurement, and then take a millimetre off that dimension, 0.5 millimetre to 1 millimetre, and cut out a rectangle that size, so it just sits in there very easily. I do that with the drawer front and the back panel of the drawer, the back section of the drawer. And then what I do is, if I bring this down here, hopefully you can see it a bit easier. So as I say, I've measured the rectangle and made it slightly smaller, and I've cut 2 bits of wood. So the front drawer, which is the good wood, and then a cheaper one. I've actually started gluing the sides of the drawer on, but what I did to get the depth of the drawer, that little bit there from front to back or back to front, to get that measurement, I dropped the front of the drawer into the actual piece of furniture. I'll poke that in. I can't get it in now, but anyway, there. So I've poked that into the back, and then I took the well, let's just say this is the back panel of the drawer. I took that and dropped that in on top as well, so they were both laying in there. And then just get a ruler. I'm doing this in millimeters. It's much centimeters and millimeters. It's easier for me to do. And then just stick that in the drawer and just see where it comes to flush with the front of the unit. And whatever measurement that is, I think it was 1.3 1.3 centimeters or 13 millimeters. So whatever depth that is, that's the sides, what the sides are going to be once the front and back are glued onto them, front and back. So we'll take those, take those out again and leave that there. And then I cut those pieces. There's the back of the drawer and there's the sides, and glued them around. And after I'd glued when I glued the back and one side on, I could then see the measurement from the front to the back and across the width, and that gave me the bottom of the drawer section. So I then glued that on and then glued the other side on. So that's all three, and then that's ready just to glue the front of the drawer straight onto the front like that. So I'll do that in a minute. And this side, the other side I've just started doing. So I'll put this, let's turn this on. I know you can't see it in there now, but well, let me do it on this side. So I'm just gluing another drawer front, a side of a drawer onto the back. Push it against the jig. This metal jig is a godsend when it comes to gluing bits and pieces when you want right angles. And then I can just drop, I can put this bit in first and then that side panel, or I can just glue it and then I can just drop this in afterwards, the bottom of the drawer, which I'll do. Doesn't matter really which way you do it, but I'll let that dry a bit before I start messing around with this. And then we'll get the fronts of the drawers on. Actually, what I might do now, as I'm talking my way through it, is put a little drawer knob on the front of these. First of all, let me choose a little doorknob to put on there. Now, I'm just using a little hand tool that I usually use for doing holes for doorknobs. And I have a box here with, these are the finest ones. You can't really see them in there, but they're really, really thin drills. So they go from small to extremely small. Very handy to have for one of these tools. I'll leave that there for a minute. And then to get the centre of the drawer front, I do my usual trick. Lay the drawer front on a piece of paper and then cut round it with the scalpel. Obviously I start in a corner, so I've only got two bits to cut, and then you end up with a little rectangular piece of paper the same size as the drawer front, and then I just fold it in half one way, fold it in half the other way, and the cross in the middle, I just put a little pen dot there in the middle, and that gives you the centre of the drawer. So you just lay that on the drawer front, mark it through. You can use the end of the drill, or you can use the end of the tweezers, or you can use a pen and just sort of mark it through so it marks the drawer like so. And then put the drill bit, make sure you get the drill bit the similar size to the thickness of the doorknobs that you're putting in. And I know it's going to be there. And I can hold that up. I'm not pushing hard on this, so obviously it's not going to go into my finger, in case anyone's sitting thinking that. I'm just doing that very slowly, just to make enough depth, hopefully, for the doorknob to go into. If it goes right through, it doesn't matter. It's on the inside. Yes, that sits in there perfectly. So then let's get some rapid glue. This one dries in 5 to 10 seconds. Let's get the tweezers. It's very fidgety. I'll do this over here. I don't want it dropping the glue on anything else. I'll just really touch the doorknob with it, or drawer knob, and then drop it in like so. There we are. Just hold it in place for a minute and then get the other one on, and I'll do that as well. I'll get these done and I'll get the drawer fronts just glued onto the front there, and then we can put them in. I've given it just a little buff, just got a cloth and just buffed it up, the linseed oil, just to give it a slight sheen on the wood. Very, very pleased with it. And I've waited till now before I put the actual drawers in to see it finished. So hopefully they're dry and solid enough. These are lovely. I'll try and show you it up close, my lovelies. These are really nicely shaped brass knobs. They've been engine turned really well, or however they make them. I think I just made that saying up. I don't know how they're made. Who knows? I don't really care. But hopefully this will go in. It's been sanded within an inch of its life. I'm really pleased with that. Really, really pleased. Let me hold it up for you. There we are. So, and you can actually get hold of these and pull them out. So you could have one closed and one open with some papers or something coming out where it hasn't been closed properly in the house, just to give it effect. Or the fact that you just know that the drawers will open if you wanted them to. But they're just, they fit just nicely. I'm really, really pleased with the shape of it. Can't really see the brass knobs clearly. Hopefully you can. They've got a nice sort of sharp perimeter around them instead of just rounded. Sorry, my giant finger is in the way. Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. I'll just show you, that's the back, so you can see the light coloured wood at the back there, holding the drawers from falling through it. And whoever owned this piece, it would be like hanging pictures on the wall. You just put 2 or 3 blobs of tacky wax or whatever the wax is that you may use, museum wax or whatever, to hold it onto the wall. So you'd put a bit across here and maybe a couple of bits along there and just push it to the wall. It's very lightweight, so it's in the way it's like a painting being hung up on the wall. Or as I do sometimes, because I know I want something in a certain place in a room and I have no intentions of changing it, then I put a bit of glue on the back, even PVA glue, and stick it onto the wall. Just stand something against it to hold it while it dries. Job done. Anyway, this I can't remember if I mentioned in the video that I've made this piece to put in my shop. I think I'm very proud to put this little piece in my shop, especially as I got the idea from it, from a piece of furniture we already have in our own home. But really it's just to show you that's the sort of thing you can do. And as the video's gone on, it's gone on a couple of days because I've been busy in between doing this video, so I can't actually remember if I said, but I also, to get ideas, looking around our house and taking photos of or measuring things in our house, I also do that when we go out to antique stores or antique shops or marketplaces that has different things, different bits of furniture, or car boot fairs across the pond, their garage sales, different things like that. And I photograph a lot of things, so on my phone I have a whole array of furniture items. Even if you don't go out a lot and you like to stay at home more when you're watching television, if you see anything, bits of furniture in films or antique programs or anything with furniture, then if you can always pause the TV or rewind it to get that bit of furniture again and take a close-up photograph of it. I've got quite a few photographs that I've taken from television and then just crop them to get the piece that you want, just in case somebody hasn't thought of that and thinks, oh, that's quite a good idea. Anyway, thank you as always for watching, my lovelies. I hope you stay well and speak to you again soon for the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.